Hi, welcome back to this channel, Tea Time with Peace and Joy. My name is Doris. Okay, so last time we talked about self-esteem, why it is important, and first two tips of how to improve ours or our children's self-esteem. And today we are going to talk about 7 more tips for today. And in the next round, we are going to talk some more. Okay, so if you haven't seen the previous video, you can watch it first and come back, or you can watch this first and watch that later. Okay, so the third tip that I want to give you is that to let ourselves or them make mistake, try to take the risk, because a lot of times when we are going on with our days, we are so comfortable with certain things already. I don't want to take the risk. I always try this. I always drink this at Starbucks or wherever. I don't want to change it. It's okay with me. I don't know if I like that. So taking risks actually help us to understand ourselves better, and especially for children, that is another way of establishing their self-esteem. So for example, when they do things, do we tend to do that for them, or we really let them try to take some normal risk? Of course, not high risk, right? But within some limits. So for example, in some European countries, for example, they let children cook really, really early on, right? And that is even part of the school's curriculum. They teach them how to cook. So for example, if we have a 5-year-old, we want them to cut up an apple, to peel it and cut it up. Do we let them do that, or do we do that for them? Of course, it needs to be supervised, right? But we can teach them certain tips on how not to cut themselves and let them try it. So those kind of little things, you will think, oh, what does it have to do with self-esteem? It's nothing. No, but all those small things really help them to build up their self-esteem. They know that, oh, whenever I try things, I can do it, and mom enjoy the time with me doing it together, or dad wants to do it with me together. So all those are good things for them. When they know that they can take risk and they can still, do things that let them develop, and that is a very good way of establishing it. And for ourselves too, if you're thinking about learning certain things, or I'm interested in that, but I'm not sure if I like it, try it out. It doesn't hurt to try it out. So those will help us to discover ourselves even more and help us out on our self-esteem. And then to find our strengths. I know that a lot of you are established already, and you're like, oh, I know what I'm good at, and I understand myself and my strengths. Yes, but there are always things that we can discover and we may not know, right? So for example, one of my friends actually has pretty good self-esteem to begin with, but then he decided to go on a marathon and train himself, go do it in different countries. And that really boosts up the self-esteem, because like now I can do a lot of things. I have a lot of potentials, right? So for children, it's the same thing. Sometimes when we are trying to help them to find their interests, like what they're interested in, try to help them develop their hobbies, our attitude is very important as well. So do we send them there because they like it? So if they later on they find out that they don't like it, what do we do? So we have to handle it carefully. So if they really don't like it, so for example, I have a case where a child went to piano lessons, and at first really liked it, and after a while feel like I'm not so sure. So as parents, sometimes we will think, oh, should they give up? Or I don't want them to give up early, maybe there's something more there. So perhaps you can talk to them, listen to them, what they need first before deciding. So in that case that I saw, they switched to guitar, and they actually were practicing a lot, hours per day. So it's not like it's just laziness. It's not that, it's interest, right? So if we let them lead the development, sometimes that can help them to build their self-esteem as well. Okay, and then show them the unconditional love, and also show ourselves the unconditional love. For children, a lot of times, if we can let them know that I love you, not because you do certain thing really well, so then I love you. Not like that. It's like, because you are you, that's why I love you. And that is really important for them to know, and that will impact them for the rest of their lives, because they know that there's a safe zone. No matter what, they will have us to back them up, and that is very important. And for adults, of course, being a Christian, I would say the easiest thing is that for you to know that God loves you no matter what. We've sinned, we've done wrong things in the past, and that is okay, because God will forgive us, right, and love us no matter what. And He even sent His only Son here to die for us on the cross, right? So for adults, sometimes we don't really encounter that unconditional love. Of course, you can find it with children, your spouse, other people, but things can change in the world, right? So you may find it in them, but it may not last, or there is a risk, right? But if you tell yourself you love yourself unconditionally, not like because I get a promotion at work, because I earn that much money, or because I have a good house, I have a good car, that's why I love myself. No, you love yourself because you are you. Okay, and you are enough. And so that is really important for us to keep in mind, to give us our unconditional love, and that will definitely boost our self-esteem. Okay, and then a sense of belonging. That is essential for a lot of us. That is one of the basic needs, right? We really want to, I wouldn't say basic, but one of our needs. So, for example, in the past, I know like few generations ago, maybe they can work at a company till they retire, right? And nowadays it seems like that may not be possible, and we may face a lot of changes, and I may not be able to work in an environment that I feel like I belong there. So what do we do? So there are a lot of things that we can do. So of course, some of you are really lucky and you find out, oh, I actually have a sense of belonging at work and I really enjoy going to work, and that is important. But sometimes if that doesn't happen, we can still have some strategies. So for example, there are other things that we can do. Maybe I join a club. How about doing a book reading club, or learning to take good photographs, something. So you can develop that sense of belongings, especially nowadays. Sometimes even on social media, you can do it. So for example, for myself, I have different social platforms that I am friends with my high school friends, for example, or friends from college. And we are like one small group, and that helps my sense of belonging as well, and that is healthy, because I know that if there's something happened to me, or if I need to talk, they are there for me, right? So that is another thing that is important. Of course, when the relationship, no matter what relationship in our lives, become toxic, try not to get back into that just to get the sense of belonging. But otherwise, it's always good to have a sense of belongings. And for children as well, for example, a lot of children, when they play sports, because it's a team that they have to work together on certain things, like no matter what it is, sports or something that they work on together, orchestra, things like that. That is really helpful to get the sense of belonging, and then it will boost the self-esteem as well. Okay, so the last three is more applied to children, but also it applies to us. So let's talk about them. So when our child, or any child, your niece, whoever, come to you and start talking to you, it's really important for you to put down whatever that you're doing and just listen to them, because no matter how small the things that we think they're talking about their friends, or one thing that their friends had really upset them, whatever that is, we thought, oh, get past it. No, for them it's important, and so we put down whatever to listen to them, and that is really important for the relationship, and also really good for their self-esteem, because they feel like I'm worth it, I'm more important than mommy's work or daddy's computer games, whatever that is. They will sense that they are loved, and that is why we have to listen to them. And for our spouse too, or our friends, the same thing, right? And if you want to boost up your self-esteem, and your spouse or your partner or your friends are not really listening to you in that way, you can try to explain to them, and if they don't understand, you may ask them to watch this video. Okay, so another thing is, don't label them, and don't label ourselves. So for example, if the example that I gave you before, if they made a wrong decision or not so good decision, just don't label them. So let me give you a new one actually. So let's say if they fail to do their homework, instead of saying you are just lazy, you are a lazy person. No, because once they take up that role, you don't want that, because they will get into that role and be that. You don't want that. So don't label them, and try to, instead of saying that, oh, you made a wrong decision because you decided not to do your homework and play a video game first, and then you fell asleep. So next time you learn from it and try to do your homework first before you play games, right? So that's a learning moment, and instead of labeling them, is telling them, what they should learn from that. And for us, the same thing. If we make some wrong decisions, or I've heard so many cases where, for example, ladies may make wrong decisions, finding a partner that's abusive, or not treating them really well, and they will say, oh, I always attract those kind of people, I am just loser attractor, things like that. No, don't label yourself that, because unconsciously you may move toward that direction which you do not want. So try not to label yourself. Instead, focus on what you learn from there, and try not to do it next time. Okay, last but not least, try to focus on the problem solving skill. Try to develop that, like for children, instead of labeling them, instead of having negative talks to them. Try to move on, not to focus on what they did wrong already, but try to say, okay, so you made this wrong decision. Now, moving on, what should we do to fix that? Right? So I think last time I talked about taking the subway or taking the bus, right? So maybe they decide to take the bus, and when it's like a lot of traffic, and then they were late and they couldn't make it to their piano class, and so now focus on that. And what can we do? Okay, so maybe you want to call your teacher, piano teacher, apologize, and also make another appointment to make up the session, right? Or they may have to, suffer some consequences, like they may have to pay for that session. And okay, so now focus on how you can get the money. Maybe you help clean the house, and then I will, pay you, whatever that is. Focus on the problem solving. And for ourselves too, if we make some mistakes, for example, at work, instead of keep thinking about that, if we move on and focus on the problem solving, that will totally boost our self-esteem instead of dragging our self-esteem down. So I would like to share with you Psalms 139, verses 13 to 14. For you created my inmost being. You knit me together in my mother's womb. I praise you because I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Your works are wonderful. I know that full well. So I hope this information is helpful to you. So we are going to talk more next time. So stay tuned. I'll see you next time. Bye.